Drinking that healing, sinking in this feeling. Will you be the time, giving me the signs of life? Making you are clear, but you're gonna leave me in the deep.
Hello and welcome to Rank vs Speedrunner, a competition brought to you by Rocket Racing Dynasty, the biggest community-run rocket racing Discord server. My name is Sevenplant and I will be commentating for you today together with Havoc.
Hey everyone, Havoc. I'm super excited to be here today, and I am ready to see some incredible races.
Get ready to watch some of the best rocket racing has to offer face off on 10 individual maps selected by the players. Representing Team Ranked are Sugar from Japan, User X-Men and Spuns from the USA, Ameise from Germany, and Instinto from Colombia. On the other side, representing Team Speedrunners, we have Dylanus from Ireland, Diogi from Canada, Ski from the UK, as well as Burrow and Bros from the USA. Each and every one of these players are capable of getting the win on any of those maps, especially even every small mistake can lead to last place.
That's right, Plant. This is a ranked versus speedrunner, team versus team Grand Prix, where every single point matters. Yeah, these players are racing themselves, but they're also earning points for their team. First place snags 10 points, second takes 9, and it keeps going down to 10th, which still gets 1 point. Every position and every point counts. But here's the twist in all this. The racers have had a hand in their fate. Each map has been handpicked by the players themselves. Will their picks give them the upper hand? We've got an insane lineup of maps for you today, including Conduit, Python, Anarchy Arches, Festive Falls 2, Windy Way, Riviera, Shipwrecked, Day Drifting 2, Dust Up, and Airborne 2. These tracks can be brutal, but who is going to show off their mastery of them? You know the points, you know the maps, but what are they all racing for? Glory, honor, bragging rights? You bet. But also over $100 in prizes. Who's ready to see who takes it all? You know these players, you know the stakes. But the big question is, when the dust settles, who's going to be standing tall with the Victor's Cup in hand, claiming the top spot on the podium? Plant, it's time to make some calls. Who's your pick to take it all?
I'm going to be straightforward here, Havoc. I think Team Speedrunners are going to take the win here today. The hours some of these speedrunners put into the game grinding for world records usually translates to consistency. The quality of talent on this team is insane. Every one of them is capable of taking any world record if they really put their mind to it. Especially Dylanus with his 51 world records he holds at this moment, also showing how versatile he really is. The only unknown for this team is how do they perform when someone else is right in their face the entire time, like a BMW driver on a highway. A small error caused by a bump can put you off your ideal line, which none of these players usually have to worry about when playing speedrun or even when playing ranked. They are usually so far ahead of everyone else that I don't even think they know what catch-up mechanic is anymore. Then there are also nerfs, which could play a huge role. I know when I'm ahead of someone in a race that I think is usually better than me, my hands get sweaty and the mistakes just pile up. And that's not with a bunch of people watching me live on Twitch. But I believe still the speedrunners are going to come out on top here. What's your take?
Now, my pick might surprise a few people. especially since I'm an avid speedrunner and a mod on the speedrun.com leaderboards. But I've got to go with the ranked team for the win. Their roster, Spuns, User X-Men, Sugar, Amiz, and Stinto is absolutely stacked with some of the best competitive players in the game. These racers have logged hundreds, if not thousands, of races at the peak of Unreal's competitive scene. We're talking top 25 on the leaderboards for all of these players, some even cracking the top 10 or snatching the number one spot. These players are battle hardened. They know how to take the fastest line, and they've got tons of experience handling the intense pressure with other top tier players bumping them around on the track. They're adaptable to the situation, and that is what's going to make them dangerous. Now, don't get me wrong, the speedrun team has some of the most technically advanced players out there, but is pure technical skill enough to overcome the monumental obstacle that the ranked teams presents? I'm not so sure.
Well, you certainly have a point there, especially with them being battle hardened. We will find out soon what's going to happen. While we wait for the players to get ready, let us know who you think is going to win in the chat. Are you supporting Team Ranked or Team Speedrunners? Darth, who's moderating behind the scenes here today, has an opinion on this as well, and he is so sure that Team Ranked is going to win, he was willing to put his money where his mouth is. He and I made a bet that the winner of that bet decides the Discord username and the profile picture of the other person until the end of the year. So the stakes couldn't be higher for the players as well as Darth and myself. So we see some people in the chat. Krogs is saying ranked. Oh, I see a lot of ranked there. That's crazy. Not a lot of love for the speedrunners. I'm very surprised here. Did you expect this, Havoc?
You know, I did expect this a little bit. This is kind of the sentiment that I've been seeing, at least in the hype building up to this tournament. Um, some strong people on both teams, and I think the speedrunners are coming in a little bit as the underdogs. Um, and they have a strong team. There's no doubt about it. But there's just something about that ranked roster that seems to be giving them that slight edge over it. But whoever it is, I mean, there's going to be some incredible races coming up no matter what.
I think what none of these players are really prepared for is actually being head to head and close to other players the whole time. Because even if you talk about great players like Ameise and like X-Men, who are like mainly ranked players, usually when they play ranked, they don't go head to head with anyone else. They are so far ahead of everybody, like I said earlier. Bumping really doesn't matter, but today it will. What if User X-Men suddenly gets bumped off by Burrow? How is he going to handle that? The reset button isn't there for the speedrunners though, which maybe is going to catch one or two of them by surprise. I guess we're going to see what happens.
I think you've got a point there where being first in the race kind of is like you're playing your own speed run in the middle of competitive play. Uh, what'll be interesting for me to see is how many of these speedrunners, of course, also play ranked. They're all Unreal rated, but it's just how they choose to spend their time, whether that be pushing for an optimal line or grinding for that number one spot. How do you think that the differences between these two game modes and styles of playing might come out here today?
Well, something very interesting, I think, is that especially if we go not into the speedrun category itself, but on the speedrun mode specifically, that some of the maps we see, we have different routes on the speedrun mode in comparison to the ranked mode, to the 3-lap mode. And this all really comes down to risk and risk management, because usually the routes that we see on speedrun mode are more risky. You have a lot more time to reset races. It's a lot more straightforward, and you get into a better flow practicing on speedrun mode. But some of these strategies might be so difficult to pull off in an actual 3-lap race that I'm not so sure that that we're going to see all of those strategies today. Now, talking about the speedrun team, I feel like maybe they would tend to try and go for these very difficult lines more often than the rank players. I would imagine that the rank players sometimes also have routes that are more suited for ranked and, let's say, less risky. And maybe that's going to come around to bite team speedrunners. I don't know what's going to happen. This could also pay off massively. We have some very consistent players also on the speedrunning side, especially with some of the very advanced mechanics like b-hopping, which if you get the b-hop, you're just gone. And if you don't get the b-hop, you're usually punished very heavily. So I guess it's still a risky move, but on this front, the speedrunners, in my opinion, definitely have an advantage.
That is a good point. These speedrunners spend lots of time practicing these high risk, high reward lines to achieve those world records. And some of these players on the speedrunner team have an incredible amount of them. Um, with the practicing the techniques, not only bee hopping, but any other mechanic that we may take for granted, as simple drifting. They understand it on such a high level of how to get just the maximum amount of speed and cut their times down millisecond by millisecond to clear these tracks as fast as they possibly can. Of course, with that being said, going for some of these tricks does leave a little bit of room for error, a little bit of inconsistency that can pop up during these races. That's something that the ranked players might not have to deal with as much.
That's right, definitely. And luckily, we have a very varied map pool with a lot of different routes that are possible. So we're going to be able to judge this firsthand today. There's a lot of maps also that have different routes that have been taken even in recent history to get world records. Let's say Riviera, for example, is a map that in I think 3 different sections has had very different approaches to getting a world record. I think within the past 3 different world records that have been uploaded. So it's going to be very interesting to see which player is going to go for the risky strats and which player is going to go for more of a safe approach. And as said earlier, I think maybe the speedrunners are going to more go for the risky strats and the ranked players maybe go for the more consistent strats. And this is a very important word today, consistency. I think consistency is going to play a huge role in this tournament today.
I think you're right about that, especially talking about some of these maps that have lots of innovation in their lines still coming out. Part of me wonders, especially on maps like Riviera, are we going to see some lines that have been kept secret? There's been a bit of a push lately to get more and more of these interesting lines out into the view of the community. But since the announcement of this tournament, it really makes me wonder, are the rank team hiding something? Are we going to see all 5 of them take a line that we've never seen before and just get massive time leads compared to the rest of the competition? Maybe speedrunners have the same idea. You never know. With the level of innovation on both of these teams, there could be something that they're hiding, that they're ready to unleash here today.
That's right, especially with b-hops being in the game now. After this has been discovered, pretty much every route on every map has been changed in some way. So there's definitely still a lot of different routes to be discovered. And who knows, maybe one of them has discovered such a route and is going to show us today what this would look like.
We are getting our players together here into the lobby behind the scenes. Our Rocket Racing Dynasty staff is putting them together, and we will be trying to begin these races shortly. But I'm looking back over at the chat here, and I'm seeing a lot of interesting opinions about, if all the players are going to be using B-hops, if the ranked team or the speedrunning team is going to be faster. It seems like we have, quite a divided crowd on how these races are going to perform.
And we do already see Dylanus in chat wishing that we had speedrun mode maps here. Like, what I don't even know what they are called. Arrow, I think, is one. And Do you know what they are called? They are so irrelevant, pretty much only relevant for people like Dylanus who only play speedrun mode.
I am familiar with those speedrun maps, and it was interesting when we were doing the community tier list maybe a month or so ago. There was a number of players who completely skipped rating those maps at all because either they just didn't play them or they didn't have a strong enough opinion about them, and that may have been an important factor today. You do have to consider the speedrun players are used to playing speedrun mode and maybe some of those speedrun specific maps. But all of these maps that we're playing today are going to be in the 3-lap competitive mode.
That's right. But some of the maps are actually very good also to practice mechanics. The puddle skipper, for example, comes to mind. Is very good if you want to practice drifting on top of tubes, and Anaconda Bite is very nice for learning precise mag flips, especially at the start. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. And I've also heard the opinion of some people that it would be a good idea to release some of them as a 3-lap version and make it, let's say, for example, Anaconda Bite is going to be Anaconda 2. I mean, we have seen a lot of these 1 and 2 maps in season 0 and season 1 of the game. So that could be maybe an interesting concept that Epic Games could pursue here. Because there is a sizable crowd that really enjoys those maps also.
I mean, certainly they are some fantastic maps. I mean, I personally, the entire Anaconda Bite, those are some of the most speedrun maps, most interesting routes that we have in the game. And you're right that just because you're playing a different map doesn't mean you're still not training your mechanical skill the entire time. Now, I wanted to go
Definitely.
ahead and look at some of these maps that we have on deck here today. Do any of them in particular stand out to you as interesting, or something that we might see some divisiveness between the players on what truly is going to set them apart from the rest of the racers?
Oh yes, definitely. I think like we said earlier, Riviera is one of the maps where a lot of different routes are possible that are very close together in speed. So I'm expecting to see a lot of different routes on that one. Also with Riviera being the longest map in the game, with the world record currently standing at 3 minutes and 15 seconds, the longest world record in the game. There's a lot of potential to come back from a mess up, but also there's a lot of potential to mess up in the first place. So it's going to be very interesting to see who really has that consistency to pull off the most consistent and fastest line on that map. Also, another interesting map is going to be Airborne 2, a map that is very mechanical, and Ski just clutched out the new world record on this map with 1 minute and 24 seconds. And it's gonna be also very interesting to see how many hazards are going to be collected, and also how many double pads are people going to be able to hit. Because it really comes down to the double pads, and also with the newest routes to the B hops across the finish line. What do you think is going to be an interesting map to see?
I think your commentary on Riviera and Airborne 2 is exactly right. Now, we won't start talking about double pads for too long, or we'll make some of the longtime veterans mad. They're going to start the chants, bring us back all of our double pads. Some of the new players might not even know that you could pretty much double pad on almost every pad in the game before, until a patch took it out. Maybe in season 0, was it? I don't even remember. But some of the maps that I think are going to be the most interesting to see, like you said, the maps that some of these players already have the world records on. For example, our first map up, Conduit, that's owned by Dylanos. And, it might be fair enough to say a lot of these maps could have world records from Dylanos, as Dylanos has a monumental amount of world records. And we were talking about how high ranked up the speedrun team, the ranked team was on the Unreal leaderboards, which is absolutely an achievement in its own right. When you see a player like Dylanos who has over 50 world records at this point. I mean, you've got to put some respect on that. That is an insane achievement.
That's exactly right. And from playing with Dylanus a lot myself, it's not that he has all of those records, but then he doesn't perform when it's time. I've been in ranked races with him. I've been in our Rocket Racing Sundays format with him, where we also race, also with players of like a very high skill level, and he just performs. Very, very rarely does he not come out with a win on literally any map. And I think this really just comes down to how much he plays and the consistency he was able to build up with that. So another map that I think is going to be very interesting is going to be Windy Way, which, talking about double pads earlier, maybe some of the people remember you were actually able to triple pad in one of the sections, which is sadly no longer possible. But this map also has been going through some very recent changes in routes as well. There is a very consistent route, which has newly been the world record route, but there's also other routes which can have advantages in certain situations where you basically do a little bit more of you do some more mag flips and you basically fly over half the section of the map. But this can also be slower because you lose a lot of turbos, which can bring us to the next topic in this. Turbo timing is going to be very important because maybe the speedrunners, they just stick to the speedrun routes. But from my own personal experience, saving a turbo on lap 1 can make the difference on the last lap, especially if you keep up with the one turbo saved for the whole race. And then in the end, you might have an extra turbo. So strategy and map knowledge is going to be very huge in this tournament.
Definitely. And I think we are just a few moments away before getting into our first match of the day, just waiting for confirmation from our team. But I do remember seeing on your podcast, actually, Windy Way is quite an interesting map that you mentioned. The routing that was possible, that you have your own interesting route where you kind of take that tunnel sometimes, build up those extra turbos. There's the more traditional route where you're taking the inside lines as much as possible, or the route where, kind of skipping that turn before the big jump and going up on the higher route. A lot of room for experimentation there.
That's right, definitely. Now, what do you think about the fact that a lot of these players come from very different parts of the world? How much do you think is this going to have an impact on the performance? We see Sugar, for example, who is from Japan. We have Ameise, Dylanus, and Ski from Europe, and most of these players are going to be from NA. So we do have maybe potentially a server advantage on some of these maps. How big of an impact do you think this is going to make?
I think that's a good point. And the good part about Rocket Racing is the ping to the server, at least in my experience, doesn't seem to matter that much. Because there's a lot of that's handled on the client. Sure, there's some communication with the server that's going to happen. But, that may be different for these players. I'm a lowly, only like 3,000 Unreal player. So if a slight difference in ping from 50 to 200, I'm not really going to notice that. But these players who, I swear, can see every frame of this game and time everything down exactly. Some of them getting, frame perfect turbo extensions. That might throw them off. It might make things a little bit different than we're, expecting to see. We are playing on a number of servers during this tournament. Each player, when they submitted their map, also had the opportunity to submit their preferred server. We're going to be playing on US East some, which of course will lend itself better to our players from the USA and Canada. We're going to be playing some on EU, lending it better to like Dylanos and Ski from Ireland and the UK. Overall, I don't know if it'll be too much of a factor, but who's to say?
Certainly going to be interesting to see. Now, with a lot of these players being very well known in the community, like User X-Man is known as probably the best ranked player out there, Dylan is as the best speedrunner, and a lot of these other players as, well, very well-known members of the community. But who do you think is kind of the underdog in this situation?
I think one of the biggest underdogs going into this tournament is actually Sugar. You know, they're less well known. They're not from the US or the UK. They're from Japan, and they put out incredible times. I mean, obviously they're top 25 or higher on these Unreal leaderboards, so they're showing they have what it takes to compete with these top players. And maybe they're not a household name as much as Spuns, User, or Dylanos, but I'd be surprised if they are not putting up a hell of a fight in this competition.
I would definitely agree with you here. It's a little bit unfortunate that probably because of the language barrier, we never really see a lot of exchange between the amazing Asian players and the players from the West who usually communicate in English. I mean, there's a couple of players to be mentioned in this respect, like Minto, for example, or Umamizu, and some of these people who you sometimes see pop up on the NA servers when you play there, but very rarely. And I mean, I prefer to play on my own servers as well, so you cannot really blame them. But yeah, I think also because like they are less known in the community and people run into them a lot less, probably Sugar is going to be the big underdog here. But I'm certain that he's going to pull out some very impressive times here today. Now, he picked Shipwrecked as a map, which is a very, very interesting map. Is one of the maps that was introduced with the Metallica update, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah,
and is also
think so. And it's
Yeah,
I think
and
you're gonna say it's one of the only non-season 0 maps on this list, but I'll let you continue that one.
yeah, exactly. This is it's very. I mean, this is something very striking to me. That the only two maps that are not from season 0 are Python and Shipwrecked. With Shipwreck definitely being the more complex of the two, in my opinion. Although Python has also recently had some very interesting route changes with the introduction of the V-hops. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see. I guess a lot of these players, because all of them are OGs of the game, already playing in season 0, as far as I know at least. Maybe they are just more confident with the older maps, which is definitely fair.
That is true. I mean, I think every single one of these players has been playing since, season 0, if not, the first month or week of this game. They've been putting up these crazy Unreal rankings and world records from the beginning. And we've all taken, our breaks from Rocket Racing. Maybe we get a little bit bored, come back to it. But as the joke goes, nobody ever really retires from Rocket Racing.
That's certainly right. We have a couple of people in the community who said they were retiring, and then they came back maybe once, maybe twice.
So we are loading into
permanently.
our first match here. And we will shortly
That's
be over
perfect.
there. And it is finally time, folks. We are about to kick off the tournament on Conduit. Let me switch ourselves over there. We see here Spuns starting to start this race.
All right, everybody gets off the start line very well. This is a very interesting map, as said earlier, also with some different routes, especially here in this turn, the big corkscrew turn that comes up. You have the option to do a mag flip here to the left very shortly. It's going to be interesting to see if he does it. Oh, he doesn't go for the mag flip. He goes for a different strat but fails it. A lot of players overtaking him. And here the next very crucial part is the rock box. As we switch to Dylan, is in 8th place right now. Wow, how did this happen? Okay, we got the one very tight. The next part is the style drop off that you can see right here, very close. Very close to the zero here. We have Icon first place, but also right
Indeed it is. And we are seeing Ski and all of these racers putting up a incredible performance. Are we saying we don't hear people? Chat, you're going to have to check us out to see if our audio is coming through. We're balancing a lot of streams here, trying to make sure that everything's coming through okay.
Some technical issues are to be expected of this format. This is the first proper community event that has been put together. Oh, Instinto is in rank 1. And if I remember correctly, Instinto was also the person who picked this map. Oh, of course, this is also not a C0 map. We kind of glanced over that earlier. Okay, what is Ski going to do? Ski is in second place. Is he going to go for the risky strat? He's not going to go for the risky strat. He goes for the safe route. Like I think most other players have done. Will he get the good rock bounce? He will, and he releases the drift. Now for the double flip, he hits the double flip. Instinto is still in reach. Comfortable lead for him, but he is still in reach. If Instinto messes up, this is possible that Ski might take this. Oh, he missed the checkpoint! Oh my goodness, that's insane! And this caused him to drop from second to fifth. Wow, this really just goes to show how close all of these players are together. One mistake and you're dropping at least 3 places. While User comes in with 7th, we have Bros here trying to get some extra drift for the last turbo, coming in 7th, and Dylanus in 8th, Ameise in 9th, and DOG in 10th. And Sugar, the underdog, in 3rd place. Very nice to see. He's actually representing the Asian server very well here in this format.
Indeed he is.
Okay, so while we wait on the results, what did you think about that race?
I thought it was interesting seeing the number of players who would take the waterfall route or who would not. It's typically the route that you see the speedrunners take, but it can be a lot more risky of a line to take.
It is definitely the more risky line to take, and as we saw, a lot of players, especially on 3rd lap, opted to not take the waterfall route. Like Ski, we were spectating at that point, but we could also see from the shadows behind him at the bottom of the screen that it looked like the players behind him were also opting for the more safe route. And maybe this is also an approach that we're going to see in the future races, that maybe in the first 2 laps people are going to be more willing to go for the risky things, and maybe on the last lap people are going to stick with the more safe kind of route. I have no idea right now which team is in front. I did not pay that close attention, to be honest, but we're going to have the results here very shortly. But yeah, an interesting map, highlighting exactly what we talked about earlier, that there is different strats, different risks. And even if these players are some of the best, this really goes to show, first of all, the nerves, and then second of all, how difficult some of these things really are. And everyone who has tried some of those skips and some of those insanely difficult shortcuts will know exactly what I'm talking about.
And we are getting our first set of results in here shortly. Let me see if I can pull those up.
Now, next off, we have Python, which was Burrow's pick, actually. And guess who has the world record? It's also Burrow. So he will definitely be very highly favored on this map. However, it is going to depend a lot on 2 things on this map. And that is first, the newly introduced B-hop section. And then secondly, the whether or not you can get a good double flip or even triple flip in the middle section. So this is going to make the difference in this map, and it's going to be a difference from getting the triple flip, let's say, to not getting it. This alone is going to make a 2-second difference on this map. So it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to have the consistency to pull that off, because I know with the quality of players in here, somebody definitely will.
I think you're right.
The results are in.
Indeed they are, and we see the ranked team with a fantastic performance from Instinto, Sugar, and Spuns, taking those high earning spots. Instinto in first, Sugar in third, and Spuns in fourth in that first race, racking up 32 points for their team. Burrow, however, says, "You're not taking all those top spots. I'm making sure that we still secure second place and a total of 23 points for our own team."
Now, I wish we had replays to see what happened to those lower rated players, because something drastic must have happened for them to be in last place. We see Dylanus with a, what's that, 7th place then, if he has 3 points, I reckon. That's very surprising, and Diogi in last. So we do see some surprises already on the first map. And to everybody who thought this was a clear tournament with clear favorites, these people have just been proven wrong by these results.
We are getting ready here for Python. This track is a twisting, turning gauntlet that will test every racer's skill. It's time to see who can slither their way to victory.
And we are on board with Spuns, 94%, and he goes for the speedrun start, which you don't see too often in a race mode. Now, there's the section coming up now where you want to go for the B-hops right here. Nobody actually opting for the B-hops except for, oh, who was that flying off? That was the OG probably, I would assume. And there you were able to see how much of a difference this B-hop actually makes with one player just flying off. Here, the next section, very crucial to get a good double flip. Spuns doesn't get it, but it looks like nobody was able to get it. This is a very difficult section of the map. Wow, Spuns going for a crazy mag flip, putting him right in second place, just very closely trailing behind. Who's this in first? Is Burrow?
This is,
Okay, we
see
have Burrow now.
Burrow here at nearly the front of the pack. Dylanos directly in front of him. They're heading into the end of lap 1 here, with just such a tight pack all in first. We see someone fly over the top of everyone else. Dylanos, Burrow, all these incredible players fighting for this top spot.
Now, another interesting map, another interesting thing about this map, especially in comparison with Conduit, is that while this map definitely has very challenging sections, it doesn't necessarily have a death trap like, let's say, Conduit. So the pack on this map is going to be way closer together, as opposed to on a map like Conduit, where people are definitely going to crash when they attempt some of these very difficult strats. So I'm expecting the field when they cross the finish line to be very close together. Fated Burrow right now being the favorite, he is definitely proving us right in telling you that he's the favorite. Something that we don't see right now, however, is how much turbo do the other people have? Because Burrow is going for the speedrun route here, not saving any turbos. So if someone behind him, like User, who's in second now, very closely followed by Tizzy, if these players have some more turbo, then maybe in the end this could come around to bite Burrow a little bit.
I think you're right, but it seems to be paying off as these speedrunners. You got Diogi and Burrow in these first and second spots. They seem to be knowing what they're doing. Maybe on a map with a lot wider lines like Python, a little bit more room to move around the track. This is what they'll need, and that's what they'll continue doing in order to be able to secure these points for their team and take these first and second spots.
All right, now we're coming up to the final stretch. Burrow with his last boost. Okay, Bros in second, Burrow in third, and I think User. So at some point, definitely going to take Burrow the team speedrunners. Good news for everybody who's been rooting for them.
And we have a little bit of desynced streams here.
Oh, right.
so it's going to be a little bit offset. But seeing the end of match
Diogi comes out with
there.
a win here. Diogi, Bros, and Burrow in 1, 2, and 3, racking up some nice points for Team Speedrun. Spuns and Ski with the last 2 places, but there's definitely more maps to come where those two can shine. We have User X-Man holding up the flag for Team Ranked in 4th place, Instinto in 5th, Sugar Tizzy in 6th, Dylan is 7th, Ameise in 8th, and yeah, Spuns 9th, and Ski 10th. So again, a very mixed field. these players were very close together, all finishing within 5 seconds of each other, as expected. On a map like Python, where there's not as many things that can kill you, basically, this is going to lead to the field being closer together and the race being overall a little bit more close.
Indeed. I mean, that was an intense fight for the top spots. And interestingly enough, I think the fight wasn't really even a battle between the two teams. I was seeing just speedrunner names at the front of the pack there. Do you think that's indicative of what's to come on the rest of these maps?
I don't think it is, because of what we saw in the first map, and especially around the time lap, around lap 2, we did see that especially User and Sugar were very close to the front, pretty much at all times. But yeah, on this map, it was a consistent change of players in the first 3 spots. But yeah, the speedrunners did definitely get some more points on this one. However, with Ski being in last, they also had some worse placements on this one. So we're just going to have to wait and find out what the points say. But
And
yeah,
the
this is
points
going to be
are
interesting.
in.
And we have the points. We have the points. And it's actually 55 to 55. It's dead even. They came back and drew so far, with the next map coming up being Anarchy Arches.
And Anarchy Arches is what we are loading into right now. These players are quick with it. This chaotic, high-speed map where anything can happen. These racers are going to need nerves of steel to survive this one. Let's see who thrives in the madness of Anarchy Arches.
And for the start, we are again aboard with Spuns, our favorite streamer. No front to the other streamers, of course. We love you all.
It is looking like we might have a remake on this one, as it doesn't
it's
appear
looking
that
like that.
every player loaded in.
We do have rules in
Burrow
place
alone
for
in his lobby by himself.
right. We do have some rules in place for the people that are wondering, because sometimes it happens that players don't load into the map, and in that case, we will reset to a certain extent, so everybody gets a fair chance to play these maps. And so far, the event has been going pretty smooth, so there's not really much of a delay so far.
Indeed.
But yeah, this just has to do with Fortnite sometimes being a little bit broken in some aspects. Everybody who's tried to race with a couple more people in private lobbies knows that this is a distinct possibility that can happen. This also is, the chance of this happening is also increased if there's a lot of players from different regions, which is a given here in this situation.
That is
We
right.
have
This is
Sugar
a
from Japan,
global
as we said.
tournament. I mean, we're getting people from all over the place. Looks like they are attempting to load back in again. We can see here. Let's see if they get all into the race this time.
And it's looking like we are missing another person.
And just as quick there, going back to the lobby. It's unfortunate. We were trying to get things through as best we can, but inevitably we knew there was going to be some bugs, but we have this in place. We're ready to adapt and overcome whatever challenges we may face here with this tournament today.
Maybe a question for chat. Are you enjoying the tournament so far?
I certainly know I am. And I think this might be one of the biggest. People are saying 90 people in the stream. That's incredible. I mean, thank you everyone for coming out and watching this today, and
90
just being
people, wow.
part of this chat. I mean, just incredible names all coming out to participate. And it looks like we do have a match with everybody loading in, and we will get going right here on Anarchy Arches.
Now for the start, aboard with Burrow, also going for the speedrun start and getting 100% boost, and he is just off. This map is a little bit of a more interesting one, because on the face of it, there doesn't seem to be much to it, as Burrow crashes. Oh my goodness! he fails the slingshot or easy flip as some other people might call it, and this will catapult him into 10th place. It is the first lap, however, which gives him plenty time to come back, especially if he knows how to drive this map well, and I do believe he does. DOG taking a very wide line there. This makes it possible for Burrow to catch up a little bit. Of course, the catch-up mechanic also plays a role here. If you mess up on lap 1, in ranked at least, it is not that big of a deal. Usually you can come back anyways. In this format, however, small mistakes can definitely cost you the win. As we go through this section with a lot of B-hops, Ski fails the second B-hop, but it looks like not everybody went for them there anyways, while Bros soars to first place. Bros and DOG being head-to-head here, and oh my god, this is very chaotic section here. Who do we have?
We're talking about these individual, minor problems potentially causing, going from first to last place just in one moment. A single demo, a single missed boost pad, missed line, incredible B-hop coming up from Steve. Just all of these players performing at the peak of their abilities, and you can see just how fast everybody is moving down this track.
While we have most players opting to go for the boost pads up top, Steve stays in the bottom. Now turboing, he goes for the B-hops. One B-hop. Is he going? He gets the second B-hop. He gets a third B-hop. Very nice. And a fourth B-hop. This is insane. This way he's able to definitely keep up with the pack. However, we do see mostly speedrunners here in front. Why do you think that is on this map?
I think it's what you're talking about. Dylan on Smith. Somebody will have Gabe audio. All right, we'll figure it out. I think it's what you're talking about. All these B-hops, all of these straight lines with these opportunities to really show off that technical skill, chaining 2, 3, 4 B-hops together in some cases is what these speedrunners practice, and it's what they're showing off here today.
Okay, we do have the last lap. We're coming onto the finishing stretch, and Burrow does not have enough turbo. He does a lot of very nice B-hops though, and oh my goodness, this looked like he was in first, and he goes in fourth. This is insane. This also is of course a byproduct of a little bit of the desync that it sometimes shows someone being in a place where they are not. Now we have Bro's perspective doing a B-hop with the back wheel, and Bros was able to overtake Burrow there in the end. I think this was also because Burrow turboed very early, not having as much speed anymore, but I'm not a speedrunner. What do I know? World record, Makoto says in chat. Dylan is in first, 221. Let me check, what is the world record? The world record is 223, and Dylan has just broke it. Of course.
Just smashed that world record.
He smashed that, yeah. He smashed that by almost 2 seconds. Of course, world records in a race with multiple people do not count as official world records, because catch-up mechanic is a thing, and Dylanus was not in first place constantly. This time that Dylanus just got here is more of a combination of everybody's skill in this lobby, because somebody else who's in front when Dylanus isn't is pulling Dylanus to the front more. So this is why world records achieved in 3-lap racing do not count. But anyway, still a very, very impressive performance by Dylanus and everybody else. Again, another map that is a little bit more simple. Thus we see the field again being very, very close together.
Exactly. All of these players with such close times and just incredible racing between everybody here.
Yeah, especially on a map like this where it looks so simple, but these advanced mechanics can make a ginormous difference on this map. Like we saw everybody doing a lot of B-hops, mostly successful.
That is right. These B-hops are an incredible mechanic that, I do hype up the speedrunners, but all these players are fantastic at them. And we do have the scores from that last round coming in now.
We do have the scores, and it looks like Team Ranked. No, wait. It just
you got it.
Sorry.
You got it. Team Speedrunner.
Team Speedrunner pulls ahead with a whopping 20-point difference. They grabbed first place, second place, third place, and fourth place. That's insane. The only one who didn't perform as well on this map was Ski, but with a sixth place, still not bad honestly. And again, we do have the underdog Sugar performing the best for the rank team, which is also something else to note. The best performing player so far has been Burrow, racking up a whopping 24 points, closely followed by Bros. The person who is holding up the flag for team ranked is actually our underdog Sugar from Japan, who has the same amount of points as Dioji right now in 19. And we load up on Festive Falls 2.
It's indeed Festive Falls 2. This is a blistering fast track loaded with hazards. These players will need lightning reflexes to dodge everything that this chaotic map throws at them.
And we are on board with Burrow. Now, this map is very, very difficult, especially for newer players, because of all of the hazards. Little do they know, you can just drive through half of them and just fly over the other half. So it doesn't have to be complicated. We do see some B-hops here again from Faded Burrow, which is going to keep him in his very comfortable lead right now. We do see some specs of, oh no, and disaster strikes. Burrow messes up horribly, which is going to put him in 8th place immediately. Let's see if he can come back from this. He has been driving the map very cleanly otherwise, but yeah, something like this can happen and it can totally throw you off. On board with Ski now. Going into this section, is he going to turbo and drive through? He is going to turbo and drive through the hazard. Is he going to go for the B-hop? Yes, and he is going to get it. Flies very far here, potentially losing some drift and some speed, and we do see Dylanus catch up. Ameise in front of him now. My god, this is another very competitive map. The players definitely have been practicing this one.
That's right, a very dense pack. You can see like all those players grouped together, flipping, driving through these hazards, conserving their momentum with those B-hops and side flips as they are heading in to the end of the race here.
Oh, we have Ski messing up the B-hop and consequently messing up the needle thread. He is in 10th right now and is not going to be able to come back from this, I'm assuming. And every other player has finished. We are just watching Ski on his well, I don't want to be drive off shape, but yeah, it is what it is.
Bit of an instant replay from Bros here going into the finish now. You can see our
Bros stepping out the 7th place. We do have 2 ranked players in number 1 and 2. Again, Sugar with the flag holding up for team ranked. User X-Man in 2nd place. Very nice to see. It's definitely one of User's favorite maps. It is his world record after all, with a 1:26. Tizzy, Sugar Tizzy, only 3 seconds away from that world record, which in a lobby like this, on a map like this, where bumping is a thing, is a very, very impressive time. I mean, you at home just try to drive any map and get, I don't know, within 10 seconds of a map, and then you'll know how difficult that is.
Most definitely. I mean, we see that on these speedrun challenges. We look at these and we're like, oh, I only have to be 15 seconds behind the world record. Like, that's not that bad. But you'll look at some of these forums, Reddit, and people coming into these Discord asking, how the heck are these players getting these incredible times? And it's truly is a testament to the skill that these players have, being able to, not only put up these fast times, but be able to do it as consistently as they are.
Another very impressive thing is also that we do see Sugar performing on every time so far NA East servers, which is very far away from Japan. If you have a globe at home, check it out. It's quite a delay, which is noticeable, especially when it comes to the bumps and when it comes to crossing the finish line. You just have a slight delay over the other players. So again, very, very impressive performance by Sugar here.
So we have our scores coming in now, and we'll be able to look at them briefly before we transition over to the next map. The Speedrunners are maintaining their lead despite a fantastic performance from Sugar and User, but we are heading over on to Windy Way.
And we are on board with Spuns again. Let's see who does the speedrun start. A lot of players going for the speedrun start. Nice
I
double
think
flip here from Spun. Everybody opting for the inside line on this map. Not everybody opting for the mag flip. Oh, and Spuns has spun around. This mistake.
under the
obviously-
map too. What a
That-
the respawn.
Oh no, everything has gone wrong for Spuns. We switched to Ski, who's right now in 7th place. Racing very competitively with everybody. Just look how close everybody in front is together. This is a very, very tight pack. Now coming up though, a section where B-hops in the newest routes are a thing. So we're going to see who comes out on top. And Ski with a very, very nice B-hop section, overtaking some players in 3rd now. He was sadly bumped there, causing him to drop again to 5th, but certainly very nice B-hops from him. And since this is the finishing section, this can be a very good indicator for Ski maybe coming out in a very good placement here in the end. Okay, now Ski is going for the bros strategy on the long jump. The turbo timing here is very important. Okay, let's see. Can he get the B-hops again? We are still on Ski's perspective. And 1 B-hop. And 2 B-hops. Oh, he didn't get the last one. But it's still enough to put him in first. Ski is on fire with the B-hops right now. Doesn't go for the mag flip there. The bumping is insane. On top of Burrow's perspective right now. Burrow and X-Man, as we come onto 3rd lap, are in a very tight race. Oh no, and Burrow has been bumped off by X-Man. This is crazy. X-Man in front right now with a very comfortable lead, I would say, considering the quality of these players here. This is now very interesting to see who has saved up an extra turbo. This could make the difference. Some players might have an extra turbo here. And Burrow gets the B-hop. And he does get the 2nd, while X-Man gets the 1st. And a very, very nice performance here. DOG coming in number 9, and Bros stream with some delay. Where does he end up? Bros did have the world record on this map just a very short time ago. Good performance. 4th place is a very good performance. And we do have a 1 minute 57 by user X-Man, which is very close to the world record. 5 seconds away. World record currently held by Energy Wizard with 1 minute and 52 seconds, which is an insane time. If you get anything below 2 minutes, I would say you're one of the best players in the game.
Most definitely. These times, even with demos, everyone achieving basically a 2-minute or less time is just truly incredible. And, you know, doing this back-to-back, consistent across all of these races in these highly competitive lobbies, just goes to show, like, all of these players who are in these lobbies absolutely deserve to be here.
And we do see the ranked team potentially making up some more points here. Something else very nice to see, everyone in this lobby was just within 3 seconds of each other, which is crazy, because this is also a map that, as we saw in the beginning from Spuns, it can definitely kill you, especially if you take the dirt road to the right at the start. This is a very complicated map if you take the complicated routes. So yeah, but was definitely good to see. Spuns did come back a little bit. I don't remember right now where he placed exactly. But yeah, we had 2 speedrunners coming in last on this map, and we had user X-Man coming in first. So I do expect the lead of the speedrun team to shrink again a little bit.
And those
But we're going
scores
to see
are
that
coming
very
in
shortly.
now. We do see it is a close tournament between them two.
Oh, alrighty. We have just a 5 points lead for the speedrunner team. It's a very, very close tournament so far. And I don't expect this is going to change.
No, this
Sugar again
tournament
with a
is
very nice placement. Ameise clutches out the 3rd place. Very nice. Those players definitely contributing to the team's overall, to the lead of speedrunners shrinking a little bit. They do come out on top on this specific map. And User also takes over 1st place on the ranked team, with Sugar now being in 2nd. They are just divided by, they are just like, User is just 1 point ahead of Sugar at this point, which is negligible. Those 2 players are really, really performing very well. Of course, Burrow also, we have to mention, with 41 points. Crazy performances. Just look at the points he's been racking up. He didn't come first in a map yet, but he has been consistently on top of all of the maps, with his worst placement being fourth.
That is absolutely something that is important to shout out here. Some of these players have much more spiky performances. We see Diogi all the way from last place in race 1 to first place, second place in race 2, and then slipping a little bit on these next 2 races, only getting 3 and 2 points. That is still giving his team a great amount of points, but he's gonna have to tighten up those lower finishes, maybe take some more consistent lines if he wants to really remain on top and really getting those points for his team.
And consistency really is the name of the game here. We do see from this that you don't have to win maps in order to be the best overall player so far, which can be clearly seen by Burrow. In a group stage format with points, consistency, good placements, those are king. Maybe some of the players could revisit the strategies they are going to take, because maybe going for risky lines that don't pay off sometimes is not worth it anymore. Maybe going for like 5 points, maybe 6 points with like a slightly more safe route could be the way to go here. What do you think?
I think that's right. We've seen more demos than I'd expect out of some of these players, and in lobbies like these, a single demo basically can mean the end of your race. If you're getting it on the earlier laps, lap 1, that catch-up mechanic is going to pull you back into the race a bit more. So even if you're in last, you still have a chance to pull, maybe a 4th or even a 3rd. But is that risk of doing these crazier lines that have more risk of demo what you want to do? 10 points, that's real shiny, and it's helps your team out a lot. But if you're in that lead already on the Speedrunners team, do you take a step back and say, all right, team, we're winning. We just need to keep that lead, play steady and controlled?
That's exactly right. Something else we can see so far, not a single player was able to win 2 individual maps. Just again highlighting the overall quality of players in this tournament. Insane.
I think touching on that idea of the consistency versus these high risk strategies, we can see that almost clearly in the scoring lineups of these 2 teams. We were talking about how Diogi's points are spiking all over the place. Dillnote's points are spiking. Burrow is putting out a fantastic top tier performance. But if we go over to the ranked team, sure, they may not be snagging as many 8s, 9s, and 10s, but their points are a lot more consistent, only between all of them having last place a single time. It just truly shows the different mentalities that these groups of players have when it comes to playing this game.
That's exactly right. And the next map coming up after the break is going to be Riviera, a map that we talked a lot about in the pre-show. So it's going to be very interesting to see the different strategies and different routes to be taken on this map.
I think so, definitely. Being one of the longest maps in the game, there is lots of opportunity not only for mistakes, but interesting routes. We've seen a lot of evolution in the strategies on this map, going between, am I going to go and take the shortcut over the water? Am I going to take the inside, more traditional line and hit the boost pads and try and do some B-hops? Anything could happen on this next map.
That's exactly right.
We are seeing some love for the casters in the chat. Thank you all for joining us and watching these races. I know that I'm having a great time, and Plant is as well. We've got pretty much the entire Rocket Racing community in this chat getting hyped up and excited for these players.
Oh yeah, this is awesome. I mean, I'm standing up right now. I don't know about you, Havoc, but I'm standing up. This is an insane tournament so far. This is very hype. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for everybody who is here, who's watching. This is very fun.
Absolutely. Plant and I, we were talking before this stream, and we said this is too hype to sit down. So we're both at our standing desks right now, screaming into our microphones. I wanted to feel a little bit like a caster today. I've got the sport coat on. You know how it is. We're feeling very official going into this game, and we just want to make it a fun opportunity to really show competitive rocket racing is real, and it is a fantastic avenue for these players to show off their skills, and it is a blast to watch some of these people go head to head.
It really is, and it's also very nice for the players who put so much time into this game that if there was a actual official competitive pro scene, they would definitely be in there. It's nice to have at least this platform for them to show off their skill for your guys' appreciation.
And if any of our fantastic employees from Epic Games or Psyonix have tuned in with us today, this is what the players want. We want to see an opportunity to have these high competitive, high octane races. Ranked is cool, going for speedrun world records is cool, but nothing quite compares to a lobby together with some of the best players in the world taking each other on.
In the words of Yumpiest in the chat, give us what we want!
That's right. Everybody let Epic Games and Psyonix know this is what the players want. We want high competitive, impactful experiences that we can see and honestly be amazed by some of these performances here.
Exactly.
Now, I do have to shout out the GOAT of the Psyonix team, Devin. He saw this tournament, he saw the trailer, and he said, that looks hype. Maybe he shows up here today. Maybe we have other people from Psyonix. But, can I get a W for Devin and W for Psyonix in the chat? They, as much as we give them a little, we josh them around a bit when they maybe take out our beloved double padding or dusk dashing, but they really have created a fantastic game here for all of us to enjoy.
They definitely have. There is a lot to be done on the game, but they have also done a lot on this game. And we are only here because of it. So thank you to them.
Right. I do think after our brief pause between these races here, the racers needed a minute to collect themselves, focus back up, maybe strategize. We are going to be moving into our next match on Riviera. I do see everybody is trying to ready up and get into that next game. We'll see the matchmaking here commence shortly, provided everybody loads in okay. You know how it can be. But we are going to be moving quickly here over to Riviera.
So this is going to be a very interesting map, and the world record by someone who is not participating, by Tremon, who, well, basically, if you have Tremon in your friends list, every time you see him play, he is on Riviera. Tremon is actually also in chat, so he's going to be able to judge the performance of these players right now. Tremon's time is a 3 minutes 15.9. I don't know if he maybe already has a better time that he has not released yet because he's not quite happy with it. Could be. Maybe he's going to let us know in chat. But anyways, we are off.
Are we going to see potentially from any of these players the fabled Frank route? I don't even know what it is, but is a sub 3 minute time on this map possible? We've already seen some world records here today.
That's a very interesting question. And we're going to be here in the first section where 2 routes are possible. Someone going to the bottom, and we see them flying away. I don't know who that is. Is it Burrow? It could be Burrow. But the new route, the new world record route, actually goes underneath in the tunnel. You turbo early and you fly very far using a B-hop to maintain all of your speed. So this is something that probably a lot of players have not yet practiced a lot, and it is a little bit more risky and dangerous to pull off, but if you pull it off, you're going to have a very big advantage over the other players. Now coming up here, we're going to see some players flying to the left and some players going straight. The difference in speed with those 2 routes is also not that high actually, and you do get a little bit more drift going straight instead of flying over. The current world record by Tremon is using the section where he flies over to the left, but it's not significantly faster, I don't think. Now
That
this
is
is a
right,
very
there
notorious
is-
section where bumping can be very dangerous because you are going to very easily hit some hazards. And Burrow maybe taking the strat now. He is. Let's see what he does. This is basically what you do. Now you try to go for a B-hop, which he said he doesn't get. Tries to go for a second one, which he also doesn't get. And this is what we were talking about earlier with risk management. This was definitely slower than some of the people who went up there, but he went for it. He went for the risk, and if it pays off huge.
A bit further in the back, we have Ski. You can see the players in front of him on the castle route, just behind those bollards, as he is taking a quick line, overtaking one of the other players. And is he going to go for? He's going for the inside line with the boosters. We were talking about this one. This seems to be the new line that these players are taking, getting a fantastic chain of B-hops all the way off to the turn, barely clipping the inside of that checkpoint. Ooh, throwing off the drifts a little bit here. That is going to cost him some valuable time going into the final lap.
We see him again with some very clean B-hops. Ski really has those down. Now again, let's hope he doesn't get bumped in this section. Very clean drifts through the hazards. Also a maneuver that is not exactly easy. He does hit that hazard though. Let's see if he goes on top. No, he also remains in the bottom. Early turbo. He has been very clinical with his B-hops. And I couldn't tell if that was one or not, but he did definitely get the second one. However, he remains in 7th right now. Spun's right in front of him. He has been a little bit of a quieter player in this tournament so far, but definitely also racking up some points. Sugar in 3rd, Spun's in 4th. This could be one where the rank players are, oh no! And Spun's messes up. He goes for the very risky strategy of trying to hold your drift while going through there, which in this case did not pay off. If you can do it, it's going to give you a slight advantage, but if it doesn't pay off, the damage is huge. And we have Burrow in 1st. Does he get the B-hop? He does, and he's comfortably, with a comfortable lead, he's going to win this match. Let's see the time. We have a 3:21, which is 6 seconds away from Tremont's world record. Very, very respectable time. For newer people, I would say anything below 4 minutes is already good. So this should give you a little bit of an indication of how insane these players were. As this is a map that has more different sections where you can also crash, as we saw multiple times, players are a little bit further away, which is 13 seconds between Faded Burrow and Spuns, who had a very sad 3rd lap mishap here. A lot of points again for Team Ranked, with Sugar in 2nd, Instinto in 3rd, and Ameise in 4th. Speedrunners, not so good here. We have to find out what happens. Burrow did hold up the flag for the Speedrunners, so there is definitely going to be some points, but I feel like the lead the Speedrunners have is going to shrink even further after Riviera. And with Shipwrecked next, it's going to be a very, very interesting race.
Indeed. Shipwrecked being one of these maps that we hinted at earlier, not one of the actual Season 0 maps. Something that these players may have practiced on a lot less. I know, at least from the speedrun side, seeing what these players are all submitting to the speedrun leaderboards, there's not a lot of runs that get submitted to Shipwreck. You know, the Season 0 maps tend to be a lot more popular. And so this is where we might see this speedrun team, their lead might start to fall off a little bit.
It's going to be certainly very, very interesting to see what happens on Shipwrecked. Who puts on the pirate head here? Tremont maybe with some extra information in the chat. He is rooting for Sugar to win here. Maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe he knows that Sugar is cracked on this map. I guess we're going to have to find out.
We are getting the scores from that last race, and folks, it could not be closer.
We have a tie again. This is the second time we have tied in over the course of this tournament. And we have a new player who won the map now, which is our best performing player, Faded Burrow, with 10 points for Riviera. Very well done, Burrow.
Burrow absolutely putting on a clinic of what Rocket Racing is about here today. I gotta be honest, I underestimated Burrow going into this tournament, but they are showing that, you know, they may have been named after perhaps the worst map in the game, but they are an
Basalt Burrow.
incredible racer. I know there's a little bit of Basalt Burrow hate, but I think it might be justified. It's still a great map, but come on, those vertical sections, are they kidding?
Yeah. Something to say about Burrow also is that he is on a permanent mission to be top 5 on every map in speedrun mode. And I think this could have something to do with him performing overall very well on all of the maps. Because he just trains for versatility, basically. I mean, next to him having other world records, of course, but we do see his versatility and his consistency really pay off in this format.
Well, everyone, put on your pirate hat and get ready to set sail. It's time for Shipwrecked. No, we're not on the high seas, but these racers will feel like they're navigating through a storm of sharp turns and tricky obstacles. Which one of these players is going to plunder the victory and sail away with the win? Let's find out right here, right now.
Now, according to Ramon, it's
on
going to be
Shipwrecked. This is Sugar's map, and I would not be surprised if, this is the map where Sugar's already been showing that they are a high caliber, high tiered, professional level player. And are they going to take the first?
Oh yeah, definitely. The world record on this map, by the way, by Yimbix with 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Very impressive time. Let's see if another world record can get broken during this event.
I would not be surprised if we saw another one here. This map is somewhat technical, a few opportunities for B-hops here and there, but for the most part, I think this map is mostly unrouted. Like, there's not as much experimentation, so I'll be very curious to see what the players do here today.
Exactly. There's a couple of routes that have been sort of established, but it's one of the maps where the routes still change and it's not so clear which route is actually the fastest one, especially also with the ending. We have seen a couple of players doing some B-hops there, but I guess we're gonna have to find out what happens. Spun's right now in third, overtaken by Sugar. Someone else just flew past. I think someone might have already used the turbo there. This is a section where usually people turbo, just like Spans is doing right here. Basically cutting the corner very short here. You don't really want to go for the boosts up top because, well, basically you're taking the corner very tight. So this is the fastest strat right now. This, a very nice shortcut. Wow, he destroyed the palm tree. That's not very environmental of him.
Well, as some people may know, Spuns does just not give a damn. He will go through anything and anybody in his way to get to that first place while still having a good time. And, if he was playing on his own stream, he'd probably be freestyling a little bit too.
He did go airborne there a little bit twice, which definitely costs him some speed. Wow, we have Faded Burrow going for a totally different strat. He is going up top, going for the pads, but as we see, it does not really give him a big advantage. He did save a lot of turbo somehow, which is giving him the advantage right now. He blows them all right now though. Do you think maybe he doesn't know that it's lap 2 only?
It could be, like we're saying, this map is very unrouted. We see other racers, as we switch over to Ski here, having basically that same amount of turbos. Maybe this was a plan between the speedrunning team. This is the route we need to be taking. This is the fastest one. We don't know what happens. In their team chats deciding on what they're going to do.
This map also would be a contender to save up turbos, to have 3 turbos for the ending bit, because there is this very long flying section where that could definitely come in handy. We do have Ski only with 1 turbo right now going into that section though. Remains to be seen if he can get the second one on time, and he's going to get it. Jumping off at a suboptimal spot where he cannot get the flip because of the orientation of his car, and we do see a lot of players overtaking him right now, but he does walk away with the 7th place, guaranteeing at least some points for his team. Sugar, as expected by Tremont, does come off with the victory. I didn't see the time there, but we're gonna see that very soon.
Yes, we do. So we had to go see the back of the pack finishing there. But as expected, Sugar taking that win on the map that they picked. A big bump of points for the ranked team, seeing User and Sugar come within those top two.
Definitely. This is probably going to lead to the ranked team running away a little bit with points, as we have Sugar in first, User in second, and Spuns in fifth. We do, however, have Dylan and Burrow in third and fourth, which is going to secure some points. And we do have Ameise in last place, which is also not great if you are a team ranked fan right now. But I think team ranked have definitely had this one. And we have a 217. What was the world record? Let me check again. The world record was at 216. He was literally less than a second off of getting the world record here. Crazy performance by Sugar. And he is the first player who does have 2 wins now on 2 individual maps. He did get Festive 2, and now he did get Shipwrecked. Crazy performance.
Sugar
Not quite
showing
overtaking.
that being an underdog coming into this tournament, some people I've seen less expectations just because, they're not as maybe vocal in the community or sharing their runs as much. They are still showing that they are a top tier, high skilled player.
Definitely someone not to be slept on. And
We
we
are-
did also just switch to the Asian server for that race, which makes you wonder whether Sugar could have performed even better if we had seen him on Asian servers the whole way through. And we do switch to EU servers now, which I'm not actually sure if that's better for him than the NA servers or not. But with the performance that he's been showing on the NA server, I don't think the team ranked fans have to be too worried.
We get the results from that last match. Still an incredibly close race between these two teams for their points. Sugar and User are definitely carrying their team on that last run through. And maybe the Speedrunner team is taking a bit more of that relaxed, controlled approach. They don't have the very top points, but they also aren't all at the bottom, a bit more middle of the pack. Could they be changing their strategies, trying to adapt to their different landscape?
Well, if they did in the last map, it did not pay off. We do have Burrow, however, still being the best scoring player in the tournament, but the problem is that we also have the lowest scoring player of the tournament in the same team. Only 3 points behind Spuns, we have Ski, but Ski is definitely a player who can come out and just out of nowhere just like win the next 3 maps. We're gonna find out, I guess, on Daydrifting 2, which is the next map. A very, very mechanical map. A lot of different routes to take. A speedrun route that has just changed as well with Energy Wizard's new route. Changing up the turbo spots a little bit. Going for less mag flips even. So it's gonna be very interesting to see which routes the players take here.
Indeed, it will be. Looks like we have a full lobby here. Everybody loading into this map. Another map, not from Season 0, but close to it, I believe.
Yeah, close to it. I think this one was released in the first batch of new maps, if I'm not mistaken, and if not, then in the second. Okay, we are on board with Spuns. Let's see. There is a mag flip here. Spuns is going for it. Everybody else is going for the other strategy. So people have been watching Energy Wizards run. Someone already crashed. I didn't see who that was. But I'm expecting to see a couple more crashes on this map. This is a notorious map for people to crash. And we do have Spuns going for the new turbo strategy there, discovered by Energy Wizard. Now here you're gonna go for a mag flip, and he gets it, and he does get bumped off of the boost pad. That's very unfortunate, a little bit of RNG right here. And this is going to not be a nightmare for Spuns, but it's a lot of these small details, and sometimes if you're not in control of these small details, this could cost you the race in the long run.
Yeah, and we do see all of these players getting into this technical section here. A lot of tight drifts, jumping from boost pad to boost pad, hitting the 2 here, and then needing to hit a precise mag flip while taking just the most inside line possible into another mag flip at the next checkpoint as they head into the final lap. It is a close battle between all of these players for the front of the pack, with Yoji and Ski and Sinto, and Ameise all at the front.
I was just about to say Ski on his redemption arc when he just misflipped there, and he is going to get it. This is a more difficult section than it looks like. I have crashed there trying this round. I was playing with Cheske yesterday, and I'm sorry, Cheske, I have to say, Cheske crashed too. He doesn't get the last turbo though, and he gets the 6th place. Good performance by Ski. He does get some points for his team. User X-Man in last place. That's something you don't see very often.
But with a lobby of these players, it is not something that we should be surprised by either. A whole 3-second deficit almost from user to the next player. It's incredible going from 2nd place to almost to last place on this next map. It really shows, you have to be near perfect with your execution to be able to make it with these players.
Yes, definitely you have to be. And we do have a wider spread here as well. First place being about 8 seconds quicker than last place. I think something very terrible must have happened to user X-Man on that last lap. Otherwise, I cannot explain why he is so far behind everybody else. Even though when you play this in ranked, I mean, most players don't go below 2 minutes. So still very, very impressive time by everybody here. And it is a shorter map, so everybody being a little bit closer together would normally be also expected.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll see the scores here in a minute, but just seeing all of these racers perform at this level is honestly, it's unreal, seeing how fantastic they can be.
It is unreal, definitely. And this was also, again, only 3 seconds away from Energy Wizard's world record. Very impressive performance for sure.
Absolutely.
This is going to be very close.
Yeah, we will be getting the next set of scores right now. And the Speedrunners reclaim that top spot. A 8-point difference
Burrow
between the two
everybody
teams.
on his back right now.
Burrow with the now being the 2nd player to take 2 first place runs. As we are heading in to dust up, the players are going to be readying up shortly and moving into that match.
Now, while we're still here, have a look at the distribution of points, which seems to be a lot closer for the ranked players. Maybe this could indicate that the ranked players are closer together in consistency. I don't want to say skill, because every one of these players is like one of the best, and they have different aspects where they are maybe better than somebody else. But the team ranked looks like they are a little bit closer together with the points distribution. Ski also now ties in points with Spuns, not being the least scoring player anymore. So his redemption arc just started. We just have to wait what he's going to do on the next 2 maps. Which Dust Up is a map where he is very, very good. And we do still have to play his selection, which is Airborne 2, which is going to be the last map of the tournament.
And these players are loading into that next map now, Dust Out, where things are about to get grimy and gritty. This rough and tumble track will kick up plenty of dirt. But who is going to emerge from this dust cloud victorious? It is time to find out.
Only 8 points separate these teams as we load in with Spun's perspective once again. Now you want to hit all of the boost pads. There's not a lot of them here, but you do need every small advantage that you can get. Something else that is going to be very detrimental is getting bumped off your line here, as with this map, a very simple map on the face of it, everybody is probably going to take the same route here, so a lot of bumping is to be expected.
Absolutely.
As we see
this is
X-Man going
this is a simpler map, but with simple maps, it doesn't mean they're not still extremely difficult to play precisely, as Spun's even missing a few flips will find himself from the front to the middle of the pack. As opposed to Burrow, who is more consistent with these tricks and is now finding himself at the front in a battle with user X-Men to claim those points for their team in the first place spot.
And this drift we just saw hitting both of the boost pads, if you've not tried that before, Go into a private game and try it. It's not as easy as it looks, definitely not. And Burrow is getting a very clean section here. Is he going to go for the B-hop? He is. And he gets the B-hop, soaring into first place, overtaking User X-Men. They are very close together right now. Early turbo from Burrow and the second turbo right afterwards. I don't know if in 3-lap this is the best place to turbo, but I mean, these players are way better than me, so who am I to say? Burrow is holding first place right now. As I say that, User X-Men, the source past. This is also another very difficult drift. It looks very easy. It is not. Trust me. Very close race. Oh, something must have happened to User X-Men. He lost a lot of speed there.
You see slightly behind them, Ski and the rest of the pack, just a absolute line. Oh, a devastating demolition right into the barrier from Ski. Burrow closing it on the finish here, taking first place.
Everything went wrong for Ski there in the end. You can definitely crash in this, even in this format. Oh my goodness! And Ameise, something happened to Ameise. He did walk away with the 9th place because something happened to Ameise. I would have loved to see his perspective there, but you never know. You never know when something like this is going to happen. Well, we do have Ameise in last. Team ranked, performing slightly worse on this map. With Burrow and Dylanos in first and second, grabbing the majority of the points. Also with Bros being in fourth. User X-Men holding up the flag here, though, in third place. Fifth in Stinto, sixth DOG. Spans is in seventh. Good performance from all of those players. Sugar with an 8th place. I mean, he doesn't have to win every map. He has been performing so well so far. So
absolutely
yeah.
right. And looking at the names on this leaderboard, Burrow and Dylanos taking first and second, Bros in that 4th place spot. That is going to be an incredible boost of points to the Speedrunners team, as we are going to be moving in to our final map of the tournament right after this one. I mean, this is going to be a mental game that these ranked players are going to have to overcome. I don't know if they're keeping up with the points or if they're just staying heads down, locked in, and ready to go on these next maps. This next and final map.
Now we do see the point differential being 8 points right here, but once the scores come in, we are probably going to see the Speedrunners pulling ahead a little bit further. I feel like on the last map, they would need nothing short of a miracle to come back from this, especially with this being Ski's map, and Dylan currently has the speedrun world record on this. I believe, I could be wrong about this. Let me check that.
And those points
Dylan
are coming
has the
in
speedrun world record with 29 seconds, and yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult for Team Rank to come back, especially on this map.
The Speedrunners having a 19-point lead going into this final map. That is a monumentous obstacle to overcome. But we are here, the final race of the tournament, and it's all coming down to Airborne 2. This track is pure speed and skill, but who is going to win the cup?
Now we load in with Spans right here. Let's see if he goes for the speedrun start again. He does go for the speedrun start again. Now, something that is going to be very difficult on this map is dealing with the bumps, because getting all of the boost pads and getting these clean drift lines, avoiding all the hazards, is going to be very, very crucial on this map. So the slightest bump can basically bring you off your line. And we do see Dylan, who has speedrun world record on this map, in first right now. Something that is going to be very important, though, is this section with all of the B-hubs. And we do see a lot of the players soaring ahead of Spans here right now. Those are the players that probably went for the B-hubs with a little bit more speed. He is in first place, as expected. He is heavily favored on this track. He does get the double pads. Will he get the other double pads? I couldn't tell there.
No, I was almost moving too fast to even see that speedometer moving.
Yes. He is putting on a clinic. Doesn't get that B-hop though, or did he? I think he did. He just had like he had a weird jump off. Ooh, that was a little bit sketchy, that section. There's a Rexman creeping up on him in second.
Ski
Now
going
what
to
are we gonna-
maintain this lead going into the end. Double pad after double pad. Only the final turn of this map to get through. The last turbo. Are they going to do the B-hop line or take it safe? Taking
And
first
Ski
on
comes
their
away
own
with the
map.
win. Ski comes away with the win, completing his redemption arc, finalizing the win for Team Speedrun in this tournament. I think we can already say that without having the final results. User X-Man in second, which was also kind of expected, as he did have the world record right before Ski had it. User X-Man had a time of 1 minute 24.7, and Ski just broke it with 1:24.3. Very close match between those.
Just in, there appears to have been a issue, and there needs to be a reset on that last match. As we can see, 2 of our players had some sort of issue seeing that scoreboard, and were not able to complete it. So it looks like, despite that fantastic performance from everyone, we're going to have to replay Airborne 2.
So everybody just got a practice lap in, basically, is what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. But if you're those players who took first, I mean, how is that going to impact your mental? I mean, you maybe just ended up that high, and you have to refocus yourself going back into this map again.
I think that Ski and User X-Man have such a level of consistency on this map that they could play it for the end of the day, and they would probably come out with the same times. But yeah, you never know what happens, so be excited for the next try as we repeat this map.
Most definitely trying to get all the players coordinated back into the lobby again. Everyone is very focused, heads down. You know, this reset was called as soon as we knew there was a problem, but when you're fully focused in on racing and hitting those pads, you know, it is incredibly difficult to even notice, you know, as much as a Discord ping in the middle of all of this.
We cannot always have everything within our sights, sadly, right here. But the most important thing is having our sights on the players racing.
Well, at least everybody got that call it a practice run in, a little bit of a plot twist going into this last one. We knew this was a possibility, and I personally am thankful that we haven't had more issues during this tournament. But what a way for it to happen in the final match of the game. I mean, we couldn't have scripted this better ourselves. To have to see these players perform for a second time on Airborne 2. And of course, barring any further difficulties.
Certainly a very tense situation right now. As basically, if the ranked players don't come out with first, second, third, and fourth place, it's over. It's over for them. Which is probably also not good if you are a person that gets nervous easily in a situation like this. Okay, we do have everyone loaded in. We are again on board with Spuns, who does go for the speedrun start, which this time was not optimal. You do have to time it very well. He only got 38% starting boost. Now this is a section where bumping can be a very big issue. Spuns gets through it just fine. I wonder who's in first right now. Probably User or Ski. Spuns with a very nice section. Opts to turbo quite late. Does get the easy flip. Is he going to go for the B-hops? He does not go for the B-hops or fails the B-hops. Unfortunately, we do see a lot of players soaring past. It's a very, very difficult technical map. And with the B-hops, it's gotten even more technical. Dylan and Ski in 4th and 5th. The consistency is definitely going to pay off over the long run though. Everything is still possible for all of these players. I wonder who's in first place. It is Faded Burrow. Faded Burrow is in first place, not getting the B-hops just right there, which again means that DOG, the B-hop king, is soaring past. Now Burrow almost bumped off of the boost pads, very close there.
Having to take a slightly alternate line going into this next section as the final stretch of Airborne 2 is coming up right here.
And this is where everything matters. Good turbo timing, and Burrow does have an extra turbo. Is he going to come out on top? He is not going to come out on top, but he grabs the 3rd place for Team Speedrunners. Now, who won? User X-Man wins in front of Ski.
No
So
way.
we can say User won one time, Ski won one time. These players are really head-to-head in this map. And they are only, look at how close they were together with the time. Only 0.1 seconds apart. Insanity. User redeeming Team Ranked a little bit this time. However, Team Speedrun with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. And then Instinto with 5th place, getting some more points for Team Ranked. Bros in 6th, Sugar in 7th, DOG with an 8th place, Spans 9th, and Ameise with a nice, comfortable 10th place.
Just looking at those times, a quarter second between the top 3 players on that list. User, Burrow, Dylan shortly behind. That may be enough for the Speedrunners to cinch the tournament with Ski, Burrow, and Dylanos all in those top 2, 3, and 4 spots. But we'll see when our final tally comes through. We're going to be running the scores and seeing who ended up on top. After our scores come in, make sure to stick around as we will have a interview with the team captain of whatever our winning team ends up being.
I wonder which team has won.
We are waiting for those final points to come in still.
Just talking about Ski here a little bit more. He has had a rough tournament, and then coming in with a win on Airborne 2 when it had to be reset, and then still having the mental to be within 0.1 seconds of User X-Man and almost getting the win again. I think you really have to commend him for this performance, because this is not an easy thing to do. I would have been very annoyed in his situation, because he had a stellar performance in the first Airborne 2 race there.
I would have been a little bit salty if I was them too, but all the players knew this coming into the tournament. There was a chance for these resets to happen. They all agreed to play by these rules, and we do have the final points here. Can I get some hype in the chat before seeing which one of these 2 teams is our victor? Could it be the ranked team? Could it be the speedrun team? And it is shown here. The speedrun team takes the gigantic W with 289 points compared to the ranked team's 261. As we've seen, this was an intense back and forth with both teams trading the lead, but only one of them could end up on top.
Now we do have a 28-point difference here between speedrunners and ranked, but it is very obvious to see that any one of these players has placed very well on certain maps. The skill differential overall is tiny, I would say. But we do have Burrow with 86 points, the king of consistency, getting away with 3 wins and 2 second places and 3 third places. He has been up there in every single race. Some other players just don't have this level of consistency on everything, and I think this is something we really have to commend. Another noticeable thing, User X-Man with 69 points, being the 2nd highest scoring player here, and the 3rd highest scoring player is also on team ranked with Sugar. Very big respect for the underdog Sugar, coming in here into a region with a lot of people that he doesn't have so much contact with, and putting on this level of play. Just an insane performance.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about the difference makers on each of these teams. You go from the bottom up, they're maybe earning about the same points, maybe a 5-point difference here, 6-point difference there. Well, when you look at the tops of these boards, talking about Burrow from his own team having a 25-point lead from 2nd place is just absolutely incredible. The only player to win 3 separate maps, followed by, as we can see on the points, User and Sugar also winning, 2 maps and scoring very well for their teams. But I think it goes almost without saying that Burrow really is the MVP of this tournament.
Definitely is the MVP. Now we don't have a trophy, but maybe someone can create a Faded Burrow trophy emote on Discord.
Most
I think we would
definitely.
deserve that.
These players all showed tremendous skill today, and I can't even imagine managing the nerves between all of them as we are sorry, as they were competing in all of these. And I do have a announcement. There was a surprise donation to this tournament of 13,500 V-Bucks in prizing from I'm gonna butcher this name, but Ophion. I'm gonna put it in the chat so we all know.
Ophion, yeah.
Ophion.
Shout out to Ophion. Also a very he is a known streamer in the community. A lot of people know him. Very, very nice donation. Very good to see. Thank you, Ophi, for this donation. And this is the kind of support that we like to see, because a lot of players, they put in just the extra little bit of work if there is a cash prize involved. So seeing this kind of support to increase the overall level of play in these tournaments is definitely very, very much appreciated.
Absolutely. This is hoping we can get many more prizings like this in the future. Other tournaments coming up. I know we have the Rocket Racing Sundays tournament coming up next week. Plant, do you want to mention a little bit about that? Because I know you're going to be, been running that league this whole season and are organizing that tournament coming up. I believe it's next week, right? October 5th?
Yes. If you allow me, I'm gonna just say like a quick word about Rocket Racing Sundays. Rocket Racing Sundays is a community league that we are organizing within the Rocket Racing Dynasty server, and it's a weekly league where we have one EU time session, one NA time session. So there should be a time where you're able to play. We have our own leaderboard, and because the season is coming to a close, we are going to have a tournament with the top 16 players of the leaderboard, also involving, for example, Faded Burrow probably, and Dylanus. So yeah, we have a 150 euros prize pool for that, and it's going to happen on the 5th of October. If you want to stay up to date on that, just head over to the Rocket Racing Dynasty server. There are announcements in the community events announcement channels, and there will be more announcements to come. There are more announcements to come very soon.
Indeed, a lot of exciting things upcoming here at the end of this season. If anybody else has not heard, we are expecting the next season of Rocket Racing to come in roughly about 2 weeks from now, I believe was the latest thing. But we do have joining us now the fantastic racer, the king of the B-Hops, putting on a masterclass not only on their YouTube channel, but in this tournament as well. We have DOG joining us now.
Hello?
Hey, DOG. Wow, what a performance by your team. How are you feeling right now?
Oh, I mean, fucking everyone popped off. Burrow, what the hell was that? That was crazy.
Oh yeah, Burrow with an insane performance. I don't know if you've been following the stream, but he racked up, I think it was 86 points in total. Insane.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous.
Now, talk me through what was going on inside your mind. Were you nervous at all during the event?
Oh yeah, no, I had way too many nerves. I think a lot of our team got nerves throughout it. But yeah, it's like, oh, Riviera, fell apart there.
Certainly one of those maps where this can very easily happen with all the needle threading, all the mag flips you can do, the B-hops. Very easy to mess up a little bit there. Did you expect the event to turn out as it did?
I was pretty confident in our team, and I was happy with how we showed up. I feel like we all did pretty well. I can't complain about anything.
Now, especially in the middle of the tournament, it was a lot closer than
Yes.
the end result would show, with team ranked even winning on the first map and the game being tied twice. I mean, you followed this stream, right? So you probably heard us saying that. What went through your head when your teams tied twice?
I was really surprised with how close it was. You mentioned when they went up Conduit. Oh my god, none of us had very much faith in our Conduit runs.
Certainly a
Yeah.
very tricky map. So
Yeah, have not figured it out.
did you opt for a safer strategy sometimes, or did you always go all out? Let's go for the most insanely difficult speedrun strategies. So what was your mindset with when it comes to strategies?
Uh, for the most part, basically just whatever I would do in speedrun. Festive Falls 2, I did a slightly different route, but still pretty, like, all out.
All right, man. Last question for you, and then I'm gonna let you go so you can, I don't know, drink some water, touch some grass. I don't know.
We don't do those things.
Do you have anything else to say to the viewers at home?
Uh, no, I think speedrunners, we pop off. Doesn't matter if we're basically playing ranked or not. We're still gonna win. That's how it goes.
Alrighty. Thank you very much. And again, congratulations on winning the event. And with that, back to Havoc.
Hello again. I am butchering the overlay right now, so I am just gonna take all of these things off. It's getting a little bit messed up with people joining and leaving the Discord call. So what we will do is I will pretend I know what I'm doing with this broadcasting a little bit more, and leave you with the final scores on the screen there. Awesome insights from DOG. What an incredible performance from everyone here today. This competition was fierce. Oh my gosh, I am so good at doing OBS. But in the end, only one team could take the crown. And another huge congratulations to all of our racers here today. The level of talent we've seen on these tracks has been nothing short of amazing. Every single player brought their A game, and it has been an absolute blast watching these races unfold. And another massive thank you to the entire rocket racing community for being here today. This event would not be possible without all of you tuning in to watch and get hyped up and excited for these players. Thank you to the Rocket Racing Dynasty team for helping organize this entire event. I know their hard work these past weeks behind the scenes is what makes these moments possible, and we are so grateful for everything they have done. And don't forget, folks, Rocket Racing is far from over. As mentioned before, the Rocket Racing Sunday tournament is happening next week on October 5th. Be sure to join the Rocket Racing Dynasty Discord and check out the Rocket Racing Sunday section of that Discord for more information. You do not want to miss out on that action. So mark your calendars for next weekend, October 5th. And from all of us here, I'm Havoc.
I'm Seven Plant.
And remember, this is no ordinary racing. This is Rocket Racing. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one.